The entrance she made was fit for a queen, I can tell you. It's welcome to the Asaase Breakfast Show to the immortal Grace Omaboe. Good morning to you, madam.
Good morning.
And it's so nice. I never thought I would get to see you in the flesh. I must say, I feel like I'm in the presence of a star. Not only a red carpet star, but also a star of stage and a star of people's hearts. Because you mean an awful lot to people who follow performing arts and children. I mean, you span a lot of areas in your life. You started out, I believe, as a script writer. We'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. But you're known as a figure from storytelling to children. You're known for a lot of work that you've done with women and children, promoting women and children's rights. You're known as an entrepreneur even in your own right. Which of those roles would you say defines you, or you think is at the core of what you do?
Mm-hmm. Well, let me also say good morning to my listeners and the listeners and those listening to me. Mm-hmm. Can create a memory for themselves of who Maame Dokono is, who this woman is, who when it comes to drama, the woman is there. When it comes to script writing, the woman is there. When it comes to children, the woman is there. When it comes to storytelling, she is there. Mm-hmm. When it comes to music, she is there. When it comes to politics, she is there. Mm-hmm. I don't know how I'm going to brand myself to be,
Film, television.
Yes.
The commercial world, activism, social activism, right. Real life in the community. I mean, you span so many things. But I suppose what I was trying to get at was maybe when you started off, there was one thing that particularly gave you pleasure. You first took to writing, and I said we'd like to talk a little bit about that. But which of those roles, either at the time or even now, you are the doyen of the performing arts in this country. You turned 80. You're celebrating 6 decades.
Yes.
Of work in the performing arts. Right now, looking back over all the things that you've done, maybe not what gave you most pleasure, because that's a bit like asking you to choose unfairly, but what do you think allowed you to make most impact?
Which one? I think the performing arts. The performing arts, I can say I made a lot of impact on the performing arts, especially the one with
on television or for film?
Not on television, but on stage.
Uh-huh.
We started with the stage before I got on television. Mm-hmm. And the television was a smaller part of it, but on stage we did a lot of, because, with even Obra, we made a lot of stage shows.
Live shows.
More than the television shows.
Right. This is the early 80s, of course.
Yes, we traveled all over Ghana. We even traveled outside Ghana. Yes.
But before Obra came Kitiki, I believe.
Yes,
Is that what you're
yes.
referring to? Tell us a little bit for these spring chickens over here who have no memory of the 1980s, perhaps. They may have had a little bit of, say, your storytelling through what I hope we'll talk about later on also by the fireside. But the people who are too young to remember Obra and Kitiki, what was Kitiki?
Kitiki, I mean, when we started Obra, I mean, people who watched Obra, maybe some hadn't watched Kitiki, but Obra came out of Kitiki. We were, doing our shows around the stations, the railway station.
That was your location.
Location.
Mm-hmm.
And we named it Kitiki because almost all the scenes and the stories were coming around railway station, women who sell at railway station,
Mm-hmm.
those a lot of problems arising from the railway station.
Mm-hmm.
So Nana Bosompra then was our director.
Mm-hmm.
Nana Bosompra is no more,
This is Nana Bosompra of Asaase
Yes,
fame as
yes.
well, the famous television
I
series.
was then writing the Asaase with him.
Okay.
And then we were asked to bring something new. So we started, Nana Bosompra started the Kitiki. And after some time, we saw that the Kitiki was limiting us to the social distance. You could sort of, you couldn't expand it, So before we went into Obra, there was a story, the first episode of Kitiki. There was a woman who was a kinky seller at the station.
That was the scenario.
Yes. And we interviewed a lot of actresses and we wanted somebody to play the kinky seller. But we couldn't get anybody, to do the kinky seller the way we wanted her to behave. In fact, I was not directing it. Nana was looking for the sort of woman that looks like a kinky seller. So Nana, after a lot of girls has, gone through the kinky seller. Audition for the kinky seller. Nana said he doesn't like any of their shows, but he wanted me to try. And I said, oh, but I am, I don't want to come in front of the camera. I always want to be at the back. Nana said, oh, baby, why don't you try it and then let's see if... So after a lot of talk, I decided to try. Then I came to the front to try the kinky seller. And the way the kinky seller behaved, I thought I can't, behave that way. Nana said, oh, well, baby, you can't. Why don't you try it, So I tried it, and you always have to carry the kinky on your head, and you'll be singing a song.
To advertise.
And sometimes you'll be chewing a chewing stick and all that. It was very difficult for me, but, well, I tried, and after the first take, Nana said, oh, bravo.
We found our Dokono woman.
So from then on, I started selling Dokono.
It became your role on stage. In your professional life, as it were.
Yes. And people haven't stopped calling me Kenke Seller because the person who gave me the name Session Master, the commander of the station,
the person who oversaw the
yes,
station where
gave
all
me
the
that
action was.
name. Anytime I appeared at his office, he would say, "Hey, Maame Dokono waba." Then I will put my kenke down, and then I will sing a song. Odo ye wuda me biamit ne kasa mi wo na ayo boy odo same. I remember that song very well.
Where did the song come from?
I don't know. It came from the village, and it was the song that came into my mind at that time, because I remember my mother singing it, and the villagers, when we are telling stories, they will just, sometimes when the story is about love, they will sing this song. So it just came into my mind, and
Naturally,
and I sang it.
and you brought it to the role.
Yes.
But you see why Nana Bosompra knew that he had found his kinky woman when he saw you, because he knew. But this is so interesting,
Yes.
Mrs. Omaboe. Can you give us a little bit about the background, to give us an idea of, you really are salt of the earth. You were born in, is it Ibrim?
No, I was born. I was born in Osu,
Here in Accra.
Accra.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes, but I think when I was very young, not quite 3 months, 4 months, my mother ran away with me and my elder brother. My elder brother was about 2-3 years. My mother decided to leave the marriage.
She was escaping from a
Yes.
relationship.
To go back to the village because what she met was terrible. And so I always think of my mother as somebody who tried to escape maybe if my mother hadn't gone with us, we would have been dead, because she tells me what she came to meet was terrible. The father had a wife, and the last born of the mother, the woman that she came to meet, was as old as my mother.
Yeah.
Yes,
So she's brought in as a second wife, discovers
Yes,
this
a
wife who has
second wife.
children who are all grown up
Yes,
with
yes.
her 2 young children.
Yes.
And she decided to escape this
Escape.
abusive relation and return to her people.
Yes.
And that was Ibrim.
That was
in the
Ibrim.
eastern
Yes.
region. But you were very young, as
I
you
was
say.
very young, about 3 months. And the first one was about 2 years or something. So she decided to escape back to them. Otherwise, they would have beaten her to death.
Ouch.
Yes.
And I'll ask you a little bit more about that later on in relation to your work with women and children. But in Ibrim, what sort of life was it growing up? This is presumably with your grandparents or your grandmother, your mother having moved back
Yes,
to her folks.
my mother was she sells at the market. She was selling cloth
Okay.
at the market. So she will always put me, put the mat down on the floor and put me on the mat. And people who come to her shop to buy the cloth will always say, "Hey, if you will buy home," and even though I didn't understand so much of what they are saying, I would start to cry.
Oh.
And I said, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. You know, they were saying all sorts of profane.
Oh.
Yes.
What, suggesting about what they thought you could grow up to do? Or?
Yes, yes. And I didn't like that at all.
Mm.
So my mother was living at Oda, so she left me with a sister who was a teacher at Ebrim.
Right.
So I stayed with her until my uncle. It's a long story. My uncle, who was the chief of the village, came to take me to another village. That village is called Nyafmai. And when I went to Nyafmai, I was in class 4 or something like that. And from there, you know, at the village, there was no middle school.
Right.
So we were walking, trekking every morning to Equiase for our middle school.
Wow.
Our middle school descent.
But then eventually you moved to Apetifi Girls' School.
Yes.
Which presumably was a boarding school.
Yes.
So you stopped the trekking up and down.
Yes, the trekking was taking a toll of me.
I bet.
So my uncle just looked at me and said he was taking me to a boarding school. And there was this boarding school at Esiwa. He took me there, but because it was a mixed school, he decided no, he wouldn't let me stay at the mixed school. So he took me to Apetifi Girls Boarding School.
Right.
You know, during that time, my uncle just didn't want me to get pregnant or something, or any boy to sort of make me pregnant. Or
get too close to you.
Yes.
And again, this is possibly because you clearly were a beautiful child.
Yes.
And apart from the usual cultural dangers of wanting to protect your child, they could see the beauty in you.
Yes.
Now, perhaps if we fast forward a little bit, because you've spoken about the circumstances into which you were born, your mother's unhappy relationship. You yourself have gone through 2 marriages. You speak with some regret of having left your first marriage because he's a very good man with whom I think you're still very friendly. You described.
Can't hear you.
You've gone through 2 marriages. You say you're still good friends with the husband of your first marriage, whom you regret ending a relationship with. But your second marriage was not a very happy one by your descriptions of it. What do you think was the trigger that caused or led you to what was, again, a very powerful, beyond your acting career, very powerful work as a social activist, particularly looking at problems of women and children? Was it your life experiences, or was it the friendship that you formed with Nana Konadu Adjuman Rawlings?
I think I don't want to say much about this because they are all in the book.
Right.
You know,
published your memoir.
Yes, I've published it, so I don't want to delve so much deep into that. But I would say the experience in my second marriage made me to speak so much about women who were abused, children who were also abused and all that. Because the second or even the third, It's in the book.
We'll have to buy this.
The third, it was so much that I didn't want any child to go through that. And even the women, what I went through, I took it easy because the man wasn't in Ghana, and I had also gone through a worse situation than that one. But I kept quiet and stayed in, and I said to myself, if I leave this marriage, Ghanaians will talk. People will talk that maybe because I didn't have a good character, or because of my I wouldn't say because I have money or because I was
a well-known figure.
A well-known figure in Ghana. So I was maltreating my husband. I don't know. But it happened. So I made sure that children who went through what I saw or what I experienced with my children never happened to other children. And
now, sorry if I'm interrupting you slightly, Maame Dokono, but this is clearly the product of the work of a strong woman. You clearly have an innate strength. Your mother must also have had an innate strength. She lived till, is it 105?
105.
I mean, that is extraordinary. What did your mother say to you, or did you not have a relationship where she spoke about these things to you necessarily? Did she speak to you and advise you, my child, this is what I think you have to do to survive in life?
Yes. She really advised me, and when I took part of my mother's advice and I look at my situation and I put the two together, and I said, no man was going to suppress me in my life.
Wasn't that a bit of a problem at the time when you were living this strong woman's life? I mean, we're still kind of a society dominated by men. I'm not looking accusingly at Reverend Wilberforce here, who is, of course, joining us in the interview here. But it's a society dominated by men, culturally by men, even now. The early 80s, and I know you don't want to talk about politics in this interview, but the work done by Nana Kane-Dagyamon Rawling and the 31st December Women's Movement. She was a very close friend of yours. You decided you wanted to do something active. You opened up the Peace and Love Orphanage, specifically aimed at children who are very deprived, wouldn't have the care and the support that they needed otherwise. Do you think there was a moment in time in the 1980s when it was possible to do a lot of those things in a way it's not possible now?
Well, I think now every woman is enlightened. No woman will tolerate a lot of things that we tolerated during our time.
You think?
Yes. If you are living in a modern world and you will sit down for a man to bully you, then it's up to you. You have to be your own self, and a woman who is not self-sufficient will sit down for a man to bully her. If you have to ask the man for everything and you don't pull your weight, and the man will bully you. So if you are a woman who is self-sufficient and can manage your own affair, or even if the man leaves you, you can take care of your children. the work that you are doing can make you take care of your children. I don't think any woman, any modern woman, will sit down to let a man bully her. If you come to tell me my husband is doing this and my husband is, I will tell you, after listening to it, I will tell you to leave him. Yes, if you don't leave him and manage your own affair, either the man will kill you or you will go mad. So I don't encourage any woman to be living with a man who will bully her, make her cry, and then no. I won't tolerate that.
So don't grin and bear it. Leave, as you said. You have the option. Take your life into your own hands and move on.
Yes.
Now, you discovered at an early stage, you went through the School of Performing Arts, I think, at Legon.
Yes.
Now, Legon, the School of Performing Arts, the Institute of African Studies, a bit of a hotbed of radical thought in the late 70s.
I can't hear you properly.
The University of Legon
Yes.
and the School of Performing Arts and the Institute of African Affairs were a hotbed of some very radical thinking in the 1970s into the 1980s. So you went there, you discovered you had this talent for words and for writing, and you started script writing. How did you get your first gig as a script writer for Osofodadze?
You know, there are a lot of stories around us. Wherever I go, I sometimes I will come to you. You'll be talking, and you will know that I am taking something from you. At that time I used to go out, you know, observing a lot of the things that I see. Whenever a woman is going through something, I will observe it, and whoever, a madman or whatever, I will observe it. And if, you know, I observe women who cry a lot, and I could put myself in their shoes. And so when it comes to writing, I just sit down in the night and it comes like that.
It just flows out.
Yes. This woman, this and that, and I won't mention the person's name, but whatever I saw, whatever the man did to her, whatever, for instance, if a man leaves a wife and throw her things outside, and the woman will come and cry, and maybe she will be crying with her children following her. It comes like that, and I will write it down. I'll put it down. You see?
In the same way as you remembered that song of the Dokono seller that instantly came to your head when you were asked to do the role. You knew the song that would fit the woman. You knew you had to carry the kinky and a pan on your head and hold yourself a certain way and project. It's quite a forceful character you've depicted as the original Maame Dokono. So then you've described how from the script writing, which is pretty important with Osofodadze, you moved into Kitike and then created Obra. What do you think theatre and the performing arts was doing with the kinds of plays and theatre that you were performing and that you were even creating at that time in the 70s into the 1980s?
I think it changed a lot of things. I mean, when there are times that some men will look at the things happening in the house. Some men will sit just cry, some cry for what they have done. Sometimes there was some even commit suicide. Yes. Some commit suicide, and there were a lot of times that the men will just go back and beg say they are sorry to their wives and all that for treating them that way. And there were some of the places that we did that patched the marriages up.
Just from watching the plays on TV or coming to see it live, people got a lesson from what you were doing.
That's right.
That helped them in their own lives.
Yes. So I think we did a lot. I did, not that I did, we did a lot.
You did do a lot, because I remember, I'm afraid I skipped a little bit at the early 80s, but I remember the effect of Asaase ABS, how people used to wait for that Sunday night broadcast and the moral lessons every week, because it was like a morality play, a classic morality play. You would have a situation, it could be a domestic situation like you're describing, or somebody who had a workplace problem, anything, like a mini story, and then at the end Asaase ABS would do a direct to camera piece which would bring out the moral of the story so that you learned something from.
Yes, for instance, a lot of young girls and even boys were being sodomized, and the girls were raped.
Even at that time there was a lot of it.
At that time there was a lot of defilement and rape, and nobody could talk about it. The children would tell their parents, and the parents will insult the child,
children,
the girl child, that, oh, you are bad, papa, and I say, be your stepfather and on all that. They always blame the child. So I thought about it, and I said, even if a child lies down naked, it doesn't mean that you should go and rape her. A big man should go and rape her. If you do that, you need to be jailed. So nobody could talk about it. Then I said I should talk about it. And I started talking about it. And I mean, like, Thursday you come to my place, Choice FM, you come, and a lot of children who were raped were sent there. And their parents were, they were either jailed or they were separated from their parents, And I don't want to talk about the judges, because I mean, what I'm saying right now will be taken to, will be misquoted. But little children, can you imagine a man sodomizing his own children, 10, 7, and 3. And the woman didn't want to talk about it. Why? Because he's built a house, a man has built a house. If he goes away, the house will. And I said, what? And you are living with such a monster.
And the shame factor that persuades a lot of people to live in silence. But Wilberforce, I know you've been on tenterhooks wanting to ask your questions of Maame Dokono.
So not so many questions, but I believe you've been following. You have played a very long-lasting role on the screens in our country. I believe you may be following what the screens are looking like in our country these days. If you have been following, what are your thoughts on it? If you have not been following, why have you not been following?
Well, me, sometimes I look at it and I laugh in my head, because I don't see much lessons in in what they are doing these days, you know. I listen to it and maybe I watch it for the fun of it. But during our time, we were not many, just a few of us. When a father should play a father role, is an old man, an elderly man. He's not made up with mustache and all that, powder and all that. The father will talk, and there will be sense in what the father is saying. You see. I remember one time they asked me to come and do a Kumawood movie, and somebody was supposed to play my husband. I said, how can a small boy like this play my husband? You know, maybe I should mention the name. Louis. Yes. Okay. Playing my husband. I said, no, it can't happen. I will not play it. You know, because what at all is he going to tell me? The story, he must feel the story. And you see, when you play such a role, you behave as if you are joking, you know. So I didn't play it, and they got angry with me. But what we are seeing these days, maybe is what do they say, TikTok or their social media things and all that, and they copy it, and the social media. A young girl can sit on find a mic and put in front of him or her and insult somebody, and I understand the you know, they put a cloth around their waist and then show off their something, and they will be shaking and they will ask the other to come and, you know. So when I look at this, you know, the social media, they are doing their things according to their social media. And I don't look at this, and I don't even know what is in the social media unless my children tell me, Mommy, why don't you look on the on your phone? And I'll go on and then look at it. I say, what is this? You know, it's like a joke.
So do you think that there's a lack of, from the example you are giving, during your time, there were elderly people who were interested in the movies and all that? You think there's a lack of interest for people who are of age, and so they are leaving it to the young people, and the young people are influencing the scenes with their social media influences?
Yeah, that is part of it. But the second part is I think there is no pay. The pay, the allowance, or what they get out of it. Now, for instance, if you are old, you have married, and you need to get married, and you have children, and you must have sufficient income to support them. But if you are acting, your income or allowance will not, you know,
cover your expenses.
Yes, it will not cover your expenses. So you will not act. So you will leave it to the children to act, and that is why they are destroying the thing, you know. But if you are paid well, like in Nigeria, the Nigerians are paid well. So if you see a Nigerian even a Nigerian who will go further his course and come and play that role. You know that he's being played and he's given some money, dollars or whatnot. Then you will not feel this, and you will feel you still feel you want to play that role, you want to act
because it's rewarding.
It's rewarding, but here in Ghana, there is no reward in whatever they do. So when I was auditioning people for Obra, if you come, I ask you, do you work? I won't. If you don't work, I won't take you in Obra, because there will be a time that you go begging. You go begging for money. Maybe you get sick and you go begging for money. For you've heard of some of them. Yes.
But in the movie industry, and this is my last question, some people have expressed worry about the current state of affairs, saying that it looks like most of our screens are now quite insulting when you listen to language. Is this something you are worried about when it comes to language issues?
Yes. Yes. You see, because it is not telling somebody kwasia what kwasia so and so say. That makes you a good actor or a good actress. But if you say that, people will laugh, hey. But it doesn't touch their brain, you see. So I don't want to mention a particular field, where they that it will be filled with insulting, witchcraft, ghosts, and things like that, But you are living. You want to improve your life. And you have to rely on witchcraft, you have to rely on juju, you have to rely on the... How can that be?
I saw one movie, a man said, "You're body foam."
You can't rely on these things. Me, that's why I am Maame Dokono. I work hard. Now I'm old, so I can't do anything. But when I was what I was, I will have to work hard. I have to try this and that, so that I will make my own. I don't rely on juju. If somebody comes to tell me your mother is a witch, I will tell that person your mother your mother.
His mother is rather the witch.
Yes, your mother is because my mother, the way my mother suffered before she took care of me, and the way I am with my mother, you can't come and tell me that my mother is a witch. My mother was 105 before she died, and you can't tell me that.
It's very interesting to hear you say that, Maame Dokono, given a headline that I saw just this morning of a leading Kumawood actress saying that Kumawood has been destroyed by hatred and bad spirits.
Yes.
Because people, they project bad, evil thoughts onto other people, and that's why the industry has failed.
You see, I didn't want to say it too.
That's
if I say it, they will say Maame Dokono went in.
She hasn't been named. We haven't named her, so it's okay. But I wonder how you found it possible, because you're talking about the 80s. There was very little to go around. There wasn't a lot of money floating around. You were still able to find the resources. So you talk about being quite well paid, where you're doing Obra back to back with touring on the road. You're doing your music, and you made a good living for yourself.
Yes.
And you were doing something that was wholesome and was of benefit to society.
Yes.
By the Fireside was another side of the work that you did, storytelling for children, with the idea of putting Ghanaian children in touch with their roots, their culture. Is there anything else around at the moment that you think has taken up from whereby the Fireside
Yes,
left
it's
off?
this social media thing. And they are telenovela.
Telenovelas. Yes.
There is second over. There's fireside because a child will want to look on the phone and then watch things that a child shouldn't watch, and he will be happy. The parents too won't mind them. If they will mind them, but during our time, these things were not there. So if you tell your child you are to do your homework and you are to watch Fireside 3 o'clock on television, by 3, the child, whatever the child is doing, he will stop and come and
finish it,
and then he will do the homework and give it to you, or give it to you to sign, or the headmaster or the teacher to sign. Some of of our children, Achimota, one Mr. What is the name? He used to come to the house and then see that our children do their homework, and they otherwise you come to school the next day, he will beat you. But these days the parents don't care. I don't know whether it's if your child can't play with the phone, then it means you are
you're not with it. You're not.
Yes,
you're not with
it. The phone now, the tablets.
The tablets.
The
tablets.
So a lot of children are spending a lot of screen time. So that's the issues that are coming up. A lot of screen time, rather than actual reading or studying.
Yes,
or talking to other people.
Yes, and it's sad.
They call it was Snap something.
What? Snapchat.
TikTok. It's the worst. Me, I don't know much about this.
You've managed to stay pure, but Grace Omaboe, Maame Dokono, I wanted to ask you. You seem slightly in despair about what's happening on the art scene at the moment, but there are people for whom you are still, without question, a hero. You are a queen of the performing arts. You've had a role in public life. You've had a role generally in the media. You've also had your song life. And actually in film, you had until quite recently been acting in films. Maybe, yes. I don't know. I hope you're not going to tell us you've decided to retire and that there are a few more roles left in you. But who, or do you think there's anybody out there that you admire who is doing something that you find positive in any area of the performing arts? Poetry, stage work?
With Obra, the people we had in Obra, for instance, the David Donto.
Your former paramour, yes.
David Donto,
yes,
is working, properly working. And the wife is in Asia, one of these Asia, and he has 4 children. And the children are doing well. My children are doing well.
You've got 6 of them.
I've got 6 of them. One is a medical doctor, one is an engineer, one is, and 4 of them are abroad. You know, if you go to CK, Nana CK in Obra, he's also doing well. He's got his house. He's built his house. He's looking after his children. You see, what really worries me is this: most of the men who are in this industry, when they don't look after their children, and so when they grow up and the children don't look after them, they become sad, you know. But I, for instance, I look after my children. Even though I went through a lot of hardships before looking after my children, they are now taking care of me. Because they saw the way I have suffered to look after them. So they don't play with me at all. You can't come and tell them that your mother is a witch or something like that, you see.
So do good and the good will come back to you.
Yes, it will come back to you. So I want to advise the men to get married the moment they are at the peak. They should get married, find a plot or half a plot, and then put up something and take good care of their children, even if it means you know.
Or Gary.
It's
good food.
It's good food, you see, so that you look after them gradually. They will get somewhere, and when they grow old, they will never leave you to suffer. You see, that is my advice to the men. But men, when they are on top, they think that they are all.
They rule the world.
They rule the world. So the women come after them. And if you are loose, you give yourself to them. At the time that you will be about 40, you have 4 wives. and then your
Oh, we want you to say the names, Maame Dokono. You're restraining yourself this morning.
But some of them are stupid. Sorry to say that. They are stupid. And they leave their children, and they will be taken care of. The little money that they have, they
give it out to ladies.
Yes. And when they grow up and they find that they are in trouble, it's then that they go to the children. The children will say that you didn't look after me, so Father, I won't look after you. But if you take good care of your children, marry, settle down, take good care of them, they will never leave you.
And yours is a perfect example.
Yes.
Great thanks to you, Maame Dokono, for that great morality lesson and for showing the example to us through your work in the performing arts, for being the heroine you are. Your book, I believe, is launched today, and we will all, this is your memoirs.
It hasn't been launched.
It hasn't been launched. It's
going to be launched on the 7th of September.
Oh, it's September rather than 7th of August.
Somebody made a mistake and then gave a wrong date.
Okay.
But the actual date is 7th of December.
September.
7th of September.
So next month.
Where is it going to be done?
Underbridge.
Underbridge here in Accra.
Yes.
In East Legon.
East Legon, Underbridge.
So we'll be there.
Yeah.
If you give us an invite, we'll be there.
Yes. We'll bring some of the...
Fantastic. So we look forward to the invitation and say great thanks to Maame Dokono for that lesson. Slay Queens are hard to resist, and the Telesell More Money promo is even harder to resist. If you want to be in with the chance of winning 1 million cedis as the grand prize, which is up for grabs, and it could be you, where you reload your mobile money wallet, use your Telesell cash wallet, and enter prize draws where you can win up to 30,000 cedis every week. All you have to do to opt in for free is dial *500#, send WIN, WIN, to 500, or click on the Telesell Play app. Now, this promotion is regulated by the National Lottery Authority on the Caritas Lottery